Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alistair Williamson, and I'm the CEO of Wyld Networks. Now, Wyld Networks, or Wyld, is a virtual satellite network operator for the Internet of Things. And I'm going to do a presentation today that focuses on a use case that we have deployed for renewables, but I'm also going to talk about satellite IoT in general, what are the benefits, and who we are as a company. So the Internet of Things is a technology. It's a technology that is driving the renewables business. McKinsey's estimate that by 2026, global renewable electricity capacity will rise more than 80% to over 5,000 gigawatts. And they also predict that 65% will be generated by wind and solar. And predictions are that by 2035, potentially renewables could generate over 60% of the world's electricity. But if we look at renewables and we look at wind and solar, these are assets that are deployed in areas where there's very little wireless connectivity. And IoT sensors and devices are used to actually manage these assets to improve their operational efficiency and actually run these assets as efficiently as possible. And the majority of those assets are located in rural or remote areas. So, just to explain what the problem actually is, only 15% of the world's surface has access to the internet. So only 15% of the world's surface has wireless coverage. The other 85% of the world's surface has no access to the internet, there's no wireless coverage, and so they're total black holes in respect to communications. And it's this lack of global connectivity that's holding back the growth of the Internet of Things from adding about 2 to 3 trillion US dollars to global GDP in the next 10 years. So the renewable sector really lacks connectivity. It lacks connectivity, particularly when it comes to wind and solar power generation, because these assets are located in areas where there's no connectivity. They're mainly in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no access to the internet. So we developed an affordable wireless solution connecting IoT devices directly to low Earth orbiting satellites. So in effect, what we offer our customers is a solution that provides them 100% global connectivity so they can deploy all of their IoT assets, wind farms and turbines in areas where there's currently no connectivity, and we can provide them with connectivity. So we provide connectivity anywhere in the world for IoT solutions using low Earth orbiting satellites. To give you an idea of what it looks like, there's two components to our product. There's Wyld Connect, which is a piece of hardware or a terminal that's connected to an IoT sensor that could be on a wind turbine or a solar farm. And basically, that piece of hardware collects data, sends that data to low Earth orbiting satellites. The satellites send that data back to our second product, which is Wyld Fusion. Wyld Fusion is a provisioning platform, it's a security platform, and it's also a payment platform. We collect the data on Wyld Fusion, and we provide that data to our customers, and our customers use that data to make informed decisions to improve operational efficiency, or reduce waste, or improve yield. As I said, there's two components, and I want to just explain a bit more about the business model and how it works. So there's two components. There's Wyld Connect, which is the hardware piece. We sell the hardware piece or the terminal for up to about $40 per module. And currently, we've got orders of about 223,000 of these modules since we launched the network about 2 months ago. So that's a single fee the customers pay. That piece of hardware is integrated into an IoT sensor. Then there's the Wyld data piece, and that's what we charge our customers to actually use the network. So for each of those modules, each of those 223,000 modules that are deployed into the market, we charge our customers up to $5 per month per module to actually collect their data. So that's where we get our reoccurring revenues from. Now, it's not just the renewable sector we're focusing on. That's just one small portion. You know, we're helping multiple customers meet their environmental and sustainability goals. As you can imagine, we're addressing markets that predominantly have assets in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no connectivity today. So we're addressing agriculture, and there's a lot of technology being deployed in agriculture to reduce the waste of water and to increase the yield of crops. We're addressing utilities, whether it be water, electricity. We're addressing the environmental sector, measuring plastics in oceans. We're addressing the oil and gas sector, whether it's looking at collecting data on corrosion of oil pipelines, or looking at wind shear on electricity pylons. We're also working in the maritime sector. As you can imagine, there's obviously no connectivity in the maritime sector, so we're providing that connectivity for our customers. Whether it's managing fish farms, looking at coral reef, wave and current monitoring. And then obviously there's the logistics part of the business for us. As you can imagine, logistics, we're actually transferring containers from location A to location B. They're all looking for connectivity to ensure that all of those goods are delivered from A to B and are unperished when they arrive in their final destination. So they're looking for connectivity, and we provide them with that connectivity utilizing our solution. To give you an idea of those customers that we have, if you take the oil and gas sector, you know, it's companies like Chevron, who have thousands of miles of pipeline, and they want to measure corrosion about every 500 meters on those pipelines to ensure there's no leakage. So they're using our solution to collect data to understand the corrosion levels on pipelines and actually go and fix those pipelines before they become a problem. There's customers like Bayer in the agricultural sector, and what they're looking at doing is deploying soil moisture sensors on farms that collect data on when you should irrigate your soil to actually increase the yield of your crop. And if you look at agriculture, it uses about 70% of the world's fresh water, and it wastes 30% of that through over-irrigation. So our solution allows farmers and growers to reduce the waste of water, but also increase the yield of crop. We also work with companies like Sea Towers. They're in Brazil. They're deploying wind turbines. They're actually onshore wind turbines, but they need connectivity solutions. We also work with Senate. That's the largest terrestrial LoRaWAN IoT provider in the United States, and we're adding the satellite capability to their offer. We work with satellite partners. We work with Eutelsat. We work with Astrocast, Lacuna, and also the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, who have also launched low Earth orbiting satellites. Now, to give you an idea of where we are from a business perspective, we launched our network on the 8th of December in 2022. So about 3 months ago, we actually launched the satellite IoT network. And sort of in December last year, throughout the whole year, we collected orders of about 30 million kroner. And in the last 8 weeks, we've basically more than doubled that order intake up to 76 million kroner in the last 8 weeks. Of that 76 million kroner, 13 million of it is actually for data. That's where we get our up to $5 per month reoccurring revenue for all the modules that have been shipped. And we've got orders so far for about 223,000 modules, and that's actually growing. And once those modules are deployed, we'll then start to get the data business of up to $5 per module per month. I'm always sort of asked to sort of give a view on market size, and it's quite a difficult sort of question to answer, but I'll give you a view on market size. So the total addressable market by 2025 for satellite IoT solutions is about $11.9 billion US. But when we actually strip out what we can deliver, so what Wyld can deliver, and look at what our total addressable market, so the market we're going after, it's obviously smaller than the $11.9 billion US, but we're going after a market of about $1.3 billion US by 2023. And that sort of represents a market share on the 11.9 billion of about 9.15%. So that's the size of the market we're going after. But to finish the presentation, I'd just like to sort of give you some investment highlights. Why invest in Wyld? Well, I think I've demonstrated to you we're solving a real-world problem. We're providing our customers with 100% global connectivity for their Internet of Things devices and sensors. They're utilizing our connectivity solutions to support their environmental and sustainable goals, whether that's actually reducing spillage of oil, whether that's reducing the amount of waste of water, whether that's actually increasing the yield of crop in agriculture. We're actually helping our customers meet their environmental and sustainability goals. So we are solving a real-world problem. Secondly, the size of the market. And this morning, I presented at another forum where we launched our 5G solution. So as of this morning, we're actually building 5G NB-IoT onto our products. So we've basically doubled the size of our market. And as I said earlier, we're addressing a market that's applicable to Wyld of about $1.3 billion US by 2025. Third piece, I always talk about why invest in Wyld. We've got a really nice business model. We have a business model where we're selling a piece of hardware, which is the Wyld Connect hardware terminal, that collects the data from a sensor and sends it to satellite. And then we charge our customer for each of those Wyld Connect modules. We charge our customers up to $5 per month per module or terminal. And that's where we get our reoccurring revenues from. And what you'll see is that as we are shipping out Wyld Connect hardware modules, the revenue at the moment will be predominantly coming from those hardware modules, but over time we'll start to see that monthly reoccurring revenue really accelerating and being the predominant revenue contributor to Wyld. Fourth piece is we've got patents pending, and we've also trademarked every conceivable variation of Wyld networks and Wyld. And as I said, we have already demonstrated since launching the network on the 8th of December last year, so 8 to 12 weeks ago, we launched the network. We've already generated an order backlog of over 76 million kroner. So I thank you very much for listening, and I've all got a better flavor of who Wyld Networks are.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Alistair. We are indeed living in a very volatile time in space and time. And if you look at the level of conflict, for instance, between different big countries in the world, how is this affecting you? I'm thinking of the shooting down of maybe not satellites, but balloons, surveillance apparatuses, and also the restriction when it comes to data, because there are policies that are sort of infringing data collection coming in from various countries, right? And also, how are you navigating? Is there a threat in this context of polarization that we're seeing?
So it's interesting. So, you know, satellites are regulated. We can't just throw a satellite up without, obviously, it being regulated. So there are regulations in place that dictate where you can put a satellite, which orbit it's in, what frequency it's using. So you need to get approvals from different countries to get approvals to utilize that frequency. And that's quite complicated. But what we've done is to make the solution very affordable and easy to roll out, we are using what they classify as regulated but unlicensed frequency. So the spectrum or frequency that we're using is allowed to be used anywhere in the world.
Ah.
So we've overcome that really serious regulatory problem you talked about.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Excellent. So looking ahead, 5 years from now, where do you think Wyld will be in the marketplace?
Well, in 5 years' time, we will be a global satellite network operator for the Internet of Things. But obviously, we're evolving our solution as technology evolves. So, we started off with a protocol called LoRaWAN, and that's the technology we currently have at the moment in communicating with satellites. This morning, we basically made an announcement we're going to put 5G NB-IoT onto our module, so we're moving into the 5G space. I would consider, as we move forward with all the technology advances, we will continue to put new protocols onto our solution, which will basically increase the real-time communications that our customers are looking for.
Very exciting indeed. Thank you very much, Alistair.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.